The regular meeting of the Milton Board of Zoning Appeals for Tuesday, April 15th has been called to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is introduction of board members, beginning to my left.
Zach Middlebrooks,
Adam Danella,
Hodge Patel,
Lauren Holmes,
Nick Horton.
and Billy Carmen and Zach Stafford are not at this evening's meeting. Item 4 this evening is approval of the agenda. I'd like to make a motion to amend tonight's meeting agenda as published by the City of Milton. And it has to do with item 6A V25-09. 5 variances with this variance request. We're going to take it in as one case, but what I want to do on the left-hand side basically is number or letter them A, B, C, D, and E, so that we can reference them more easily during our discussion and conversations this evening. Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
Get a motion by Hodge and a second by Zach to approve the amended agenda this evening. Is there any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5 this evening is approval of past meeting minutes. I'll seek a motion to approve the March 18th, 2025 meeting minutes as published by the City of Milton.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 18th, 2025 meeting minutes as published.
Second.
We got a motion by Adam and a second by Nick to approve the March 18th, 2025 meeting minutes as published by the City of Milton. Is there any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Item 6 this evening is consideration of primary variances. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial board comprised of resident volunteers of the City of Milton. The board is charged with hearing requests for variances from the standards of the Unified Development Code, or UDC, and appeals of administrative determination. With regard to decisions on primary variances, the board's basis for decision is provided by these 4 considerations. A, relief, if granted, would not offend the spirit or the intent of the UDC, and B, there are such extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property that the literal or strict application of this UDC would create an unnecessary hardship due to size, shape, or topography or other extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions not caused by the variance applicant. And C, relief, if granted, would not offend the, let me back up. C, relief, if granted, would not cause a substantial detriment to the public good and surrounding properties. And D, that the public safety, health, and welfare are secured and substantial justice is done. The first primary variance this evening is V25-09315 North Court. Michael, will you please present? There are 5 variances labeled from A through E.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Evening.
B25-09. The applicant is Ron Presswood and the address is 315 North Court. The site is a 0.35 acre parcel located in the Arbor North subdivision as shown in Exhibit A. The property is zone R4 and located in the Crabapple form-based code. Here's a zoning map showing R4 and T4 open to the east in pink. Typical setbacks for a lot are a 35-foot front setback, 2 7-foot side setbacks, and a 50-foot rear setback. The applicant is seeking the following variances. A, section 461B, UDC to reduce the 7 feet minimum side yard to 4.47 feet adjacent to the north property line for proposed garage and shop addition. B, section 461B UDC to reduce the 7 feet minimum side yard to 1 foot adjacent to the south property line for remainder portion of existing shed accessory structure after partial removal. C, section 461D UDC to reduce the 50 feet minimum rear yard to 0.5 foot adjacent to east property line for remaining portion of existing shed accessory structure after partial removal. And section 461D UDC to reduce the 50 feet minimum rear yard to 12.7 feet adjacent to east property line for existing covered grill and wet bar accessory structure. And finally, E, section 461D UDC to reduce the 50 feet minimum rear yard to 11.1 feet adjacent to east property line for existing covered patio accessory structure. Here is the aerial map showing the subject site. To the north, we have Crabapple Road, and to the east is the Parkview Townhome Community. The lot has a depth of 152.5 feet and width of 100.2 feet, as shown in the variance site plan exhibit B. The applicant purchased the property in September 2024, and the original house was built in 1996. The applicant is seeking one side setback variance for the proposed garage and shop addition, while also seeking 4 setback variances for existing structures built by the previous homeowner without first receiving community development approved building permits. So if you follow my cursor, we had the proposed garage and shop addition in blue, covered patio, which is existing, the existing home addition built by the previous owner, the existing porch built by the previous owner, existing covered grill and wet bar built by previous owner, and the existing shed also built by the previous owner. And the area in red is the portion of 3 feet inward that they're removing, so it's not over the property line. Here are the 2022 and 2024 aerials that could compare when some of these structures were constructed. And Fulton County GIS map construction timelines are the following. We have the covered grill and wet bar built between 2017 and 18. The covered patio built between 2021 and 22. The shed built between 2021 and 22. And the home addition and patio were built between 2022 and 2023. The applicant submitted an administrative minor variance application on February 28th, 2025, which is 1 foot or less for the home addition and covered patio porch. And those are currently under review by the community development director. Here are the elevations and the proposed left elevation and the front are the 2 sides that show what the new addition looks like. Right here. And here is the fence exhibit showing the proposed fence the applicant is proposing. And this fence design meets Crabapple form-based code. Here is the existing floor plan. When I go to the next slide, you'll see here's the garage and slash shop addition. Go back, here's existing. Proposed. Well, I can make a comment. We have a retraction. If you follow my cursor, this red X right here, 560 Parkview Drive, sent me an email at 5:50 rescinding her opposition. And I'm going to put it on the overhead to read in the record.
Michael, that's the same email that you shared with the board just before the meeting.
That is correct.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Michael.
All right, so as my briefly explained, this red X is no longer there. It's a support, essentially. So to summarize, we have support from 300 North Court, 310, 320, 325, 330 North Court, 550, 560, 575, 580, 605, 615, 625, 635, 640, 650, 655 Arbor North Way, 12565, 12575 Arbor North Drive, support from 540 Park View Drive, and support from 560 Parkview Drive, and we have rescinded the opposition. And if you're wondering why there was an original green check, there are two property owners at that address, and one of the homeowners supported it, and before 550 today, the other homeowner opposed it, but we have the rescission of opposition of 550 today. And so the only opposition is this red X right here, which will be the Parkview Community Association and Corporation Board of Directors. And they detailed in their letter they oppose all variance requests. And this is a list, which I just read. It couldn't fit on one map, so I had to create two separate docs. But as stated previously, 560 Parkview Drive is no longer in opposition.
Is someone from this group here? The letter you're about to show us.
You want to hear from the Parkview Community Association?
Or their counsel?
Here's not. Here's the opposition letter from the Parkview Community Association. And this is the letter from 560 Parkview Drive, which has now been rescinded. Now, these are the support letters. You notice some of these are longer. The minor variance was added to a few of these forms, which those two were being reviewed by the ComDev director. They're 1 foot or less. And this is support from the neighbor directly to the west. And he's supporting the variances on the condition that the structures cannot be expanded.
Sorry, you said not expanded?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. He's the side where the fence is going to go. .325. Yep, 325 North Court. Here are the site photos. This is a view to the west across from North Court. View to the east, showing the backyard. And you can make out the screening in the backyard. The other side of that is the Parkview Townhome community. View to the north. And this is the side where the proposed garage will be located, obviously inward or towards the front of the property. View to the south. Shed. Covered patio. Covered grill and wet bar. Covered patio. And the covered patio is seeking an admin variance for less than 1 foot that you are not reviewing today. And here's the home addition. It is also seeking a variance less than 1 foot, being reviewed by the ComDev director. Here's the proposed garage and shop addition location. On April 1st, the DRB met and had the following comments. DRB recommends approval of 4 variance requests for the existing structures and recommends exploring alternative options where compliance is met and no variance is needed for the proposed garage and shop addition. The board stated that the 4 variance requests for existing structures were not caused by the current homeowner and acknowledged the homeowner has a large amount of neighbor support within the Arbor North subdivision. The board also acknowledged there were 2 opposition letters from the Parkview Community Association from today. It's only 1. And a bordering rear property owner, so that no longer exists. However, the board also stated there's a large amount of vegetated screening to the rear of the property. Overall, the architecture of the proposed garage and shop addition and existing structures were received favorably by the DRB. However, the DRB recommended the applicant explore alternative options where compliance is met and no variance is needed for the garage and shop addition. Recommended conditions from staff. If approved, staff recommends the following conditions. Per the site plan from JD Grace Land Surveying LLC received on February 28th, 2025 by the Community Development Department, and the shed accessory structure, covered patio accessory structure, and covered grill and wet bar accessory structure shall receive community development approved building permits. Any questions for staff?
Has an alternate garage plan been submitted? It was mentioned during the DRB meeting.
We did not receive a revised plan from the applicant.
Okay.
This property was built and developed, neighborhood was developed before cityhood. Can you tell me what the setbacks were at the time?
Yeah. Here's the R4 plat for the subdivision. 50-foot rear, 35 front, and in the site chart, it says the site setback is 7.
Okay, and that's from Fulton County.
Correct.
Behind the accessory structure that's in the back right-hand corner, is there a fence back there, or what portion of the property is actually fenced? Is there a fence behind that screening?
So from talking to the homeowner, the fence, I believe, is the HOA Parkview. I'll let him speak to that.
Okay,
Yeah, it's the Parkview fence. So yeah, the previous homeowner must have put the shed right up against the property line. You can see it better here at the bottom right.
so there's a fence on that back right corner?
Yes,
Okay.
both sides. Mhm.
Any other questions for staff? Good. Thanks, Michael. One last question. How many people do we have wishing to speak in favor and in opposition?
Both homeowners and then 2 in favor. 4 in total.
4. Mhm.
4. All 4 in favor?
Yes, one said support but didn't want to speak, and I'll read
Okay.
that in the record when
Okay.
it gets to that person. So 3 want to speak,
Okay.
my understanding.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about time.
I'll make a motion to extend the combined 10 minutes for the applicant to make his opening presentation, public comment from anyone wishing to speak in favor, and a closing statement from 10 minutes to 15 minutes, and we'll allot the same time for anyone wishing to speak in opposition.
Second.
Got a motion by Hodge and a second by Adam to extend the time for public comment, both in favor and opposition, from 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Michael. Okay. Mr. Presswood, if you'd like to come up and present your application at this time, please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Ron Presswood. The address is 315 North Court. And Mr. Hodge, I really appreciate you making that recommendation, because I was going to speak very fast, and I still will, on behalf of my neighbors, because I know they'd like to get out of here, but I appreciate them being here tonight. So my wife and I purchased this, and what I'm going to do is just level set, because obviously Michael went through some stuff, but there's still a lot of, I'm sure you have questions. So I'm just going to try to level set everybody here, right? And so my wife and I did purchase this home in September of 24. Yes, we knew we were purchasing a home without a garage. And I'll tell you more about that story, right? I was told the setback from City of Milton was 4 feet by the selling agent. Shame on me for not checking, but with the wide driveway there, you can see where I'm thinking, well, that's 4 feet, plenty of space to build a garage, right? The same size as the rest of them in the neighborhood. So that was the thinking there. Sorry. Apologies. This needs to be put in full screen mode. Is it working? Okay, Michael, you were right. Let's go to the PDF.
Yes, I got you.
Version. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Huh?
Yes. You are a smart man. You've done this before, haven't you?
Just try. Let's do the
Let's try
PDF,
that.
but not full screen. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. You still see that, okay, right? Okay. So as Michael showed, right, the plat from 1996 does say the interior setback is 7 feet. So what I'm asking for tonight is a variance for the corner of the garage. I know Michael keeps saying garage and shop. There is no shop here. This is storage. What happened is the surveyor heard me say shop one day. He wrote shop on the survey, and I guess everybody's running with the garage and shop, but it's garage and tool storage area is what I'm talking about here. So this is an extraordinary situation. Extraordinary, maybe it's a strong word, but that's, some words that you all use. And you can see here the pin. can you see the cursor? Yeah, you can, where the surveyor has put the pin. So I've got lots of land in the front of the yard, but what happens is the property line goes inward toward the house, right? And where I need the variance is in the back corner of the garage where it's only 4.5 feet instead of 7 feet. If the property line went straight back, right, I wouldn't even need this variance. So again, you can see here the parking area is 25 feet wide. You can see where the UDC guideline of 7 feet would basically be on the parking area there of the concrete. You can see where the 4.5 feet variance would be on the concrete. And you can see even with the garage being built at the green line there, I'll still have all of this concrete pad space out here to the left near my neighbor. So this is the way that we are proposing that the front of the house look. It's a 22-foot wide garage, same as all other houses in the neighborhood. And my neighbor, who is here tonight, thank you again, Tom, he requested that instead of using evergreens, which grow tall, which grow wide, which have to be kept, that we build a fence instead. And you heard Michael say we're building a fence that is in code with City of Milton, 5 feet tall. Also, the front of the house will have a gate, which is almost 6 feet wide. So from the corner of the garage to, the gate itself will be almost 6 feet wide. And that's, here in this concrete space between the green line and the property line. That's where that gate will be. So lots of space there. Again, Michael showed you houses in our neighborhood, right? All of the houses in the neighborhood are 22-foot wide garages. These are the two neighbors that are here tonight. So they are right beside me. These are the houses across the street, 22-foot wide garages. Again, these are the houses down the street, 22-foot wide garages, all 22-foot wide garages in the entire neighborhood. Again, the recommendation from the DRB on April 1st was to explore alternative options. Michael, I don't think you told me that I needed to submit alternative options, but that's what I'll talk about right now, right? So Ken Warlick suggested that, Ron, why not reduce 16 inches from each side of the garage, right? You'll be just inside the 7-foot setback requirement, right? So you'll be good. So that reduces us to basically a 19-foot wide garage, a non-standard size for a garage. And you can see here that, basically 19 foot there. A more standard garage is a 20-foot wide garage. I do have a friend who has a 20-foot wide garage. So we took our vehicles, and you can see here that the side mirror of my truck is just 18-inch wheels. It's a standard size truck, so not overly big. But the side mirror garage just barely fit in there. Also on my wife's passenger side, you can see it fit in there. When we got the vehicles in the garage, we could not even exit our vehicles, right? So this is a 20-foot wide garage. Ken was suggesting a 19-foot wide garage. It simply will not work in this situation. So we looked at other options, right? What about building a one-car garage? Well, you can see our neighbor's house. What would they look like if they were one-car garages? You can see what they would look like here. This is the houses across the street, a one-car garage. You can see what our house would look like with a one-car garage. So here's a 2, here's a 1, here's a 2, here's a 1. It just doesn't look, harmonious with the rest of the neighborhood, right? So, okay, let's continue. What about an L-shaped garage? Right? Hey, it doesn't look bad. We could still pull in, turn to the left, pull in the garage. The problem with this is the distance from the garage to the street has to be 35 feet. No way. This is going to be more like 20 feet.
But
So-
this original house has a side entry garage.
Yes, I'll get to that. Yes.
And are there other houses in the neighborhood, or is this the sole house in the neighborhood with side entry garage?
No, there are a few other houses with side entry garages. Yes, there are.
Okay.
So again, exploring alternative options. Michael, you suggested at one point to me, why not build a carport, right? So, I've never seen a carport like this, but hey, it doesn't look bad. It's a modern, it's black, it matches the trim of the house, but I don't think it matches a 1990s subdivision, right? So there's the way houses look today. There's the way that would look with a carport. So not a good option. So the question is, hey, what happened to your garage, right? Well, the garage was converted into a functional kitchen. Like, and you know, I don't know about how you all grew up, but you know, when I was growing up, when we would have dinners at Christmas or Easter or whenever, right? My parents stuck me, my brother, my cousins in a room. We all ate, you know, as kids in a room, right? We played in a room. Whereas the parents all ate in the main kitchen. That was just the way it was, or the dining room, right? The kids didn't eat back there. So that's what's happening here, right? My wife and I love the fact we have 10 grandkids. We've got 9 and under. We've got another one on the way. So we know we're going to have lots of grandkids at our house. Our thought was we'll let them play in this room. They could eat in this room. You know, it's a perfect room for them. So that's what happened to the garage. So yes, the garage door still exists, but there's the garage today. And you can see, right, it's not something that we, you know, can just tear down. I mean, this a lot of money went into this. We want to spend our money wisely. So we'd like to keep this kitchen. So the Uniform Design Code, right? It's a standardized set of rules and regulations for building in the city of Milton. It accomplishes multiple goals, right? But 2 of those are safety and consistency. So let's talk about safety, right? 6 safety concerns here. Number 1, you know, my wife and I are both in our mid-60s. We're not getting any younger, and we're increasingly concerned about fall risks. Number 2, outdoor hazards, rain, hail, heavy winds. You know, they create slippery walkways, and we certainly have a slippery walkway here. This is stamped glossy concrete. Trust me, when it gets wet, it gets slippery. Number 3, a dry garage is crucial for safely exiting vehicles and carrying groceries and packages inside our home. Number 4, a garage provides a secure entry point into a house by allowing a garage door to be open, a vehicle to be driven in, and then the garage door to be closed. Number 5, my wife wants to feel 100% safe when she exits her vehicle. Closed garage allows that feeling. Number 6, I have 4 daughters. They're all in their 30s. They have told me they feel safer when they are in the garage and the door is closed before exiting their vehicle. So the UDC is used to ensure safety. Safety considerations here are consistent with the principles of the UDC and certainly within the spirit of the UDC. So what about consistency? Well, as you heard tonight, I've got 19 support letters from my neighbors, everyone on my street and more, all support building the same width garage. I have discussed this garage with every single of my neighbors, right? They're as long as it's consistent, Ron, looks like the rest of the neighborhood, we're good with it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here.
Mr. Presswood, real
Yes.
quick, we're at about 10 minutes right now.
Okay,
So there's 5 remaining.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that, Mr. Hodge. So you started off the meeting tonight, 4 considerations the board uses to base this decision. Number 1, relief would not offend the spirit or intent of the UDC. The garage we are opposing maintains a consistent and attractive look of all houses throughout the neighborhood, ensuring that all individual homes complement the community's overall style. Again, 19 support letters from my neighbors. Support from my neighbor most affected from the building of the garage, and he is here tonight, and he will speak. The UDC is meant to ensure a new build contributes positively to the neighborhood. Obviously, my 19 neighbors believes it would contribute positively. Number 2, extraordinary and exceptional situations. Again, the property line from the street to the rear property line is not square to the house. It goes inward to my house by multiple feet.
Well, let me address that real quick. That's not true.
I agree on the plat, it doesn't look like it, right?
It's 100 foot to the front and 100.21 feet to the rear, which means it's larger in the rear. Now the house may be crooked to those dimensions.
Maybe that's it, right?
But it's straight.
Okay.
If not fanning outward towards the rear.
Well, thank you. I don't know. When I look at the pins, yeah, it's odd. So building a 1-car garage creates a hardship as it does not meet the needs of our household. We are a 2-vehicle family. Michael, I'm not sure what happened here.
If you're connect, put it back in. That's mine. You stop the timer for technical
yeah, I did.
difficulties? Thank you. read that in their way. Reload it.
I got it. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, don't start yet.
A little over 4 minutes left.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so number 3, no substantial detriment to public good. Approving the new construction variance will not negatively impact the surrounding homes in the neighborhood in any way. All houses in Auburn North have a 2-car garage, and constructing a similar garage to my property should increase the value of all neighboring homes. My neighbor directly impacted the garage addition. Again, he is here. He personally shook Michael's hand in my driveway 3 weeks ago, told Michael he supports the variance for the garage, and handed Michael the hard copy of the support letter. I appreciate that again, Tom. Securing public safety, health, and welfare. My wife and our intermittent 60, we're concerned about outdoor environmental factors. Building a 2-car garage will help reduce falling risks for my wife and I as we get older, which will directly affect our safety, health, and welfare. A garage will provide a secure entry point into our house. We are respectively asking for lenience and approval from the BZA tonight to reduce the side yard variance to 4.47 feet based on the fact we have met all 4 considerations that the board uses to base its decision of granting a variance. Now, wow, I don't know what's happening here either.
Full screen.
What else?
It's not full screen.
Yeah, you exit the full screen. That's what did you?
Thank you.
You're in the PowerPoint though. How'd you get? Go back to the PDF.
Sorry, one more second. Okay, thank you, Michael. I just want to quickly talk about the existing 3 structures. You saw them. Here's open canopy number 1, table and chairs under it. Open canopy number 2, grill and sink. You can see the shed. No one else can see the shed except when you're standing in the backyard here, right? This is used for just storage of some pool equipment. It is all inside the fenced backyard. You can see the fences back here on the side and the back. The fence separates my backyard from, the neighbors in the back, right? We are going to remove 3 feet from the shed, so it'll be inside the property line. As the DRB stated, there's a large amount of vegetative screening in the rear of the property. When you look at from the other neighborhood, you can see the 2 support letters I received from the neighbors here, and you can see what they look at when they look at my house. All, tall Lelands. This is from the other side. All they see is trees here. They can see nothing in my backyard. This is the neighbor, the other side of me, and you can see through the trees, cannot see anything here. So my wife and I respectfully request relief from the burden of removing these 3 existing structures as it result in significant expenses and negatively impact the aesthetic appeal of our backyard. Again, the existing structures are all in our backyard and cannot be seen by any of our neighbors.
Got about 1.5 minutes left. Any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I'm trying to understand. You showed all these safety concerns that you and your wife have.
Right.
Your age, the rain. I mean, when you drive a rainy car into a garage, the rain comes right off the car and gets all over the floor, creating a slippery condition, same as outside, other than the rain not getting on you, right? So with that, your age, the considerations of this having a garage being built in, I mean, you bought the house 6-7 months ago. I mean, it seems like all of these considerations would have been valid at the time of your purchase, not necessarily all of a sudden. And so I'm trying to understand, why you purchased the house, having these safety considerations, knowing that you just purchased it. This didn't come out of nowhere. You haven't lived there for 20 years. So I
Fair
don't
enough,
really-
Adam.
I
Fair
don't
enough.
understand
Yes,
that necessarily.
absolutely. Of course, when we build the garage, we will build a garage floor that has the, paint with the, I don't know, call them, what do you call them? Grip. Yeah. It's not as slippery as outside, certainly. Right. So I've done that before, painted the garage with a non-slip type of paint. So you raise a valid
And-
concern. I mean, it's always going
Well, I
to be
mean,
slippery.
and this is personal safety we're talking about, not public safety. So, it's really,
If you came over to my house, Adam, and had to run through the rain, I mean, hopefully I'll open up the garage and say, drive on in the garage and come in the house, right? It's possibly a public concern. I mean, when my neighbors come over, it is, should I remove the front sidewalk? Maybe. It's slippery when it's raining. It rained not this past Sunday, but Sunday before when it closed Hartsville down for 2 hours. Our flight was delayed. We got in at, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're running through the rain with a suitcase to get in the house. I know it sounds crazy, but we bought the house thinking we could build a 2-car garage. That's the honest to God truth. That's what happened.
I understand. And you can, according to your pictures, you have trouble fitting your cars in there in current vehicles, but it
Can-
works. I mean, nobody drives 2 cars in at the same time. So we have an issue with the size and the setbacks and going around. I mean, part of this is protecting the property. That's the intent of the UDC, especially with these setbacks, is to protect the property itself, the real estate. And, some of this, whether or not the neighbors want it or don't want it, I mean, that's not necessarily consideration. They're okay with it, but other neighbors that may buy and sell, somebody that buys and sells like you're dealing with what somebody else did on the property. And you have to go through this process, not them. And somebody else may not want to do that. And there's a lot going on in this real estate, and there's already an issue, clearly, because we've got 5 different variances that we're looking at. I mean, some of which I don't know that would have ever been approved to begin with, because there looks like there's a lot of space in the backyard for some of these that maybe wouldn't have been so offensive to the setbacks.
Adam, to follow up on what you were saying, in terms of maintenance access to the backyard, there's a swimming pool back there. If it has to be refinished or reconstructed or anything like that, how are you going to get back there for maintenance?
Well, let me ask you a more pointed question. You're going to remove some of this shed.
Correct.
How do you intend on doing that? Or how are you going to have the shed removed? Are people going to come in, cut it, and start hauling it out individually? Wheelbarrow, something like that. I mean, the issue becomes, you're going to have to ask for an access easement from whoever lives next to you for whatever period of time. Whether or not they grant it to you, you're not going to be able to get around the side of your property. I understand there's a gate and there's 4 foot of space is what you're asking for.
Correct.
So
I mean,
getting in to do anything
My
is
builder doesn't seem to
problematic.
think it's a problem. He thinks the way it's built is going to be easy to cut the 3 feet off. So he's not concerned. I hear you, Adam, but
I understand
I
that.
haven't heard that from my builder. Let me say that.
Well, I'm just saying accessing anything, if there's any kind of issue with your house, I mean, for whatever reason,
Okay.
construction of any kind, repair work, anything, you can't get a skid steer through there. Then you're going to have to ask for an access easement to remove your fence, get the neighbor to approve it, tear up their property, and then repair it all if they allow it.
Right.
The same as people have to put in pools on tight properties with wider setbacks. I mean, that happens in my neighborhood.
That's
you
real
know?
world. No doubt.
It's just the way it works.
That's right. That's real world.
The other kind of issue that I am not necessarily hearing, and I'd like you to address, is, there's kind of 2 parts to this hardship issue. One, what is the extraordinary and exceptional situation or condition pertaining to the property itself that the literal or strict application would create an unnecessary hardship due to size, shape, or topography, or that the strict application creates some other extraordinary and exceptional situation or condition not caused by you. Now, granted, I understand you haven't caused any issue, but help me understand where the hardships are here related to the property. I mean, I understand there's financial hardship, there's safety things that you want to address, but at least with this, it appears that you can do things that do not require this variance. And with the hardship being an issue, I mean, you got to meet all four of these criteria. And I'm struggling to understand how this piece of property has provided you with some hardship where you can't do this in some way that you don't need a variance.
So you're suggesting a one-car garage is acceptable then, in this situation, because that's the only option here,
I mean,
right?
you could do a 1.5 in a tandem. You could do a 20-foot garage that tandems. I mean, there's so many different ways to build this that does not require a variance.
But we know a 20-foot garage will require a variance.
Or whatever size it is, that works. I don't know what size it is. I mean, I haven't measured it. I don't know what the size part is. It seems like, the main problem is, you bought a house intending on doing something and you can't do it, but the property itself can support something. I mean, it had a garage, somebody took it out. It can have another garage, and on top of the fact that, somebody came in there and built all this extra stuff on the property that, frankly, there's probably not hardships for as well. I mean, each one of these parts of this variance requires you to meet all four of these conditions. All 5 of these variances require you to meet every one of these conditions. The shed, the property lines, all these other pieces of this. It's not just a garage here, but I mean, there's a lot of padding back there that, when they built a pool and, they added these gazebos and everything, and it all looks nice. It's just a small lot. And
I agree with that.
it's a football field shape. It's parallel on both sides, and it was built in a way that fit the requirements, prior to now.
Adam, let's see if any other board members have any questions.
Yeah, on your right side, am I reading this correctly that you have, looks like 6.2 to 6.4 feet to where you can, on the right side, access the back of the property? Am I looking at this correctly?
Can we bring up the site plan? That'll be helpful.
Sorry, Adam, I was going to show you again where'd it go? I'm sorry. Again, the pin, I agree with you, Adam. On the plat, it looks like it goes straight back, but you can see where this pin is, right? That is my property to the left there. If it went straight back, I wouldn't have any issue here. So I don't disagree. I've looked at that plat a lot, but that's not the way my surveyor has said this lays out. So that's the reason I believe it's an extraordinary situation here. Sorry. Yep.
No, you're good.
And they added the 11.9 to.
Yeah, 6.2 feet along the,
Access is my point.
you're right, Nick. Yeah, it's 6.2 feet.
Mhm.
And it's 11 at the front, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
11.9.
I believe there's a fence back here. I'll let you speak to that. If you're talking about access, but yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But you can't access it, yes.
So you could gain it from the right since you can't get it from the
Okay.
left.
So meaning if you were having somebody service your pool, whatever, you have another entry point by which somebody could actually service the
You
property.
could go in that way, yes. But again, with this variance approval, I mean, I'll have basically a 6-foot gate on the other side as well that you can go through.
Right.
And the other side
Yes.
looks like it narrows back to 447 at the back left
But he
corner.
still has the
Yeah.
other side.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Thanks. If you'd like, you can, we got, let me see.
Thank you.
We have about a minute and a half left. Michael, if you want to call up the first person wishing to speak in support.
James Kroll.
Hello.
Good
I'm
evening.
James Kroll, 330 North Court, two houses to the left of Ron. I've been in the house since, I'm the original owner, so since 1996. And we've seen a lot of changes in the area. For example, there's a city of Milton now. And so a lot of change. And I can't speak to what the previous tenants or the owners did to the property to enhance it and why they didn't come through these kinds of discussions prior to building it, but they built it. And I do support having a consistent look and feel to the neighborhood. And I think that would continue to keep property values as appropriate as it should. And would not cause harm to myself or any of my other neighbors with the variance. And don't really have too much to say other than that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got about 20 seconds left.
Well, Tom Fuse, which is the neighbor on the side where the fence is, he wrote support, but wrote not speak.
Okay.
So this is a gentleman to the north, 325 North Court. And lastly, we have Don Presswood. Okay. She's no, you're the owner as well? Okay. Got it. That concludes public comment.
Thanks. Mr. Presswood, we've got about 20 seconds left. If you'd like to come up and make any, excuse me, do we have anybody wishing to speak in opposition?
We do not.
We do
according
not,
to the
okay.
card. Anyone opposed, please speak.
So no one in
No.
opposition? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Presswood, you've got about 20 seconds left. If you'd like to make any closing statements, you're welcome to do so.
All I ask is that you put yourself and my wife in my shoes, right? I agree, we bought a house without a garage. But again, we thought there was not going to be a problem to build a two-car garage. This is our forever home. We love the city of Milton. We love to be able to walk downtown, but we need a garage to, put our vehicles in. So this is nothing fancy. It is the same as all of the other garages in the neighborhood. You saw the wide support that we have. I just ask that, again, you put it yourself in our shoes. We're all neighbors, and please approve this variance tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Any additional questions for staff or for city's legal counsel before I close the public portion? Good. I'm going to close the public portion of V25-09315 North Court. There are 5 variances in total. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I want to bifurcate the variances that are there, and that I want to address items B, C, D, and E, which all have to do with the existing structures that are in place at this point. And my motion is to approve B, C, D, and E with 2 conditions. Let me get to those. Per the variance site plan from J.D. Grace Land Surveying LLC, received on February 28, 2025 by the Community Development Department. The second condition is the shed accessory structure, covered patio accessory structure, covered grill, and wet bar accessory structure shall receive community development approved building permits. And item A will be addressed in a separate motion.
Second.
Get a motion by Hodge and a second by Zach regarding items or variances B, C, D, and E with 2 conditions. Since I made the motion, I will start looking at our.
Do we have to, I know it's on here, but do we have to address the removal?
let's get into discussion on that.
Okay.
So in terms of the standards of consideration that we have, I'll acknowledge that there were a lot of letters of support supporting the property owner. I would say that I would not have supported this variance request had it come to us ahead of time before anything was built. It just seems like there's so much intensity on this property in terms of the overall number of structures that are there, the close proximity to the property lines. And one of our conditions that we have is the one that Adam was referencing earlier that deals with not caused by the variance applicant. I don't feel we can hold the variance applicant responsible for some structures that were not permitted. I wish the applicant would have known ahead of time, but that's kind of the situation that we're in right now. The other thing is, per the site plan, you had asked a question about that structure being removed. The site plan that we referenced as one of our conditions has the removal in there. Michael, if you don't mind, would you pull that up on the site plan just so that everyone can see it and we're comfortable? We don't need to amend a potential condition on that.
There's after partial removal in the language of the variance too.
Talking about right here?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's also in the variance request itself is to remove that.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. On the variance site plan.
Any other thoughts, comments?
I'm good. I agree.
So we'll do is we'll go ahead and vote on a motion to approve this. Well, approve or deny it. And then what we'll do is we'll address item A separately. So let me go back through this. Yep. On V 25-09315 North Court, there's a motion by Hodge and a second by Zach on approval of items B, C, D, and E with two conditions. Per the variance site plan from JD Grace Land Surveying LLC received on February 28th, 2025 by the Community Development Department. The second is the shed accessory structure, covered patio accessory structure, covered grill, and wet bar accessory structure shall receive community development approved building permits. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. I'll open the floor for a motion on item A on the variance request. I'll make a motion on item A of the variance request to deny that variance.
I'll second.
Get a motion by Hodge and a second by Adam to deny item A of the variance request. I made the motion, so again, I'll go first. Looking back at the conditions that we have to take into account when making a decision as a board, the applicant was aware that the garage had been converted to a kitchen when they purchased the property. That's clear from that standpoint. I know there's some questions what size or what the setbacks were on the side yard setback. But based on the information that I heard this evening, the information that I heard from the DRB meeting, that there is the ability to build a garage. It may not be exactly the way that the applicant wants it to. And we're literally talking about 5 variances on such a small property. Like I said earlier, I didn't want to hold the applicant responsible necessarily for things that happened under a prior owner from that standpoint. And the other item that I stated before is I probably wouldn't have supported all those other variances had the previous owner came in and requested all those variances.
Yeah, I don't know that we would have either. I think there's ways to have built that, you know, in a better way. But I think the issue comes down to, you know, we're bound by these conditions, and the conditions, you know, is there something with this piece of property that this application would create an unnecessary hardship due to size, shape, or topography? And I don't think that's been shown. I don't think there's any extraordinary or exceptional situation or conditions not caused by the variance applicant, but you know, there are numerous different ways to make this work. I mean, I think a lot of people, there's even pictures in this packet that show many neighbors can't fit their cars in their garages and park outside. You know, there are certain vehicles that fit in certain garages. There's carports that people make that attach to the home that look seamless. There are plenty of other houses apparently that have side entry garages in this neighborhood as well. I just don't see that they've met the burden here to meet all of these criteria. And so I can't approve that variance, in my opinion.
I disagree with you. I understand what you're saying about meeting the four, but this is a board that can make a decision on their own. I don't believe that every single time it has to meet all four of these. I get the whole idea of if he's got to take something down to haul it out, of course, it can be chopped up into a million pieces and be hauled out. There's not an issue with that. He's got the other side. I think it should look like everything else in the neighborhood. So I think we should allow him to do what he has asked. Also, by looking at this being off about 2 feet or 3 feet, my property looks like it goes straight back, but it does not. And it is wider in the back. It shifts slightly, and it could be doing the same thing. And that's the reason why the numbers are off. And he would have had 7 in the back. I think asking for 2.5 feet is not outrageous. If all of the neighbors agree, and they're the ones that have to look at it and have to deal with it, I don't think we should be taking this away from them. They should be able to have a normal 2-car garage in a neighborhood where everyone else does too, when everyone else is agreeing.
One thing I'll point out in our bylaws is it says "and" in there. Item A, and, item B, and. It doesn't say
I get what you're saying,
and
but
or.
we can still vote. I understand what you're saying, but there's a reason why they're allowed to come here and ask for a variance.
And
And
it's
we can-
specifically to meet all these criteria.
Well,
I mean, that's the whole point of the variance. I mean, it's to protect the
It's
land and the
your
real
imp-
estate in
yeah.
Milton.
but to you, you're saying whatever hardship is that you don't agree with it. But they're saying that it is a hardship. And I understand that it's not exactly the way you're reading it.
Well,
But I just disagree. I think they should be able to do it. Everyone else in the neighborhood is okay with it, and it would look better and normal in the neighborhood. And I personally wouldn't even build a garage if I couldn't fit 2 cars in it. I mean, that's just useless.
I have a 3-car garage and one of my cars doesn't even fit in it.
Then-
I mean, that's just, it's a personal problem.
Well,
And that's the same
Well, the thing
situation
is
we have here.
even if he
You
had
choose to
2
drive a
normal
car of a
cars-
certain size that doesn't fit in a garage.
You're right. I drive a Mini. It'll fit anywhere. But if I have to open the door and get out, it's still going to be an issue. So he has a truck. So if he had a smaller car, I can guarantee you he's still going to have an issue getting out of a normal car. Even if he had the same size as his wife, he would have an issue getting out of the car. It would be a 1-car garage. And
Well-
I just, all I can say is I disagree with what you're saying.
The current exterior appearance shows that it has a 2-car garage. So
Oh, I'm sorry, say that again.
the way it's currently,
There's
the garage
currently
is
a
closed.
garage door on the side of the
There's
house.
a garage door, so it looks like it's a garage. You'd actually have to go inside to realize that there's a kitchen on the back side of that garage door.
Mhm.
Right, so what does that have to do with?
Well, but what I'm saying is, right now aesthetically, it's showing that there's a garage there. So versus adding another garage that's there, and we're talking about the dimension on it, That's just part of what,
But it would
Has
be
to be
the same
addressed.
dimension as the garage that was there beforehand?
well, it's got to be inside the setback if it gets denied.
Well, all I'm saying is that there's a reason why they have a normal sized garage and they're all built basically the same. I mean, we're gonna sit here and argue about it all day long because I don't agree with what y'all are saying.
Any further discussion on it?
So let me understand this correctly. So really, had where the stake actually sits and how the house is actually positioned, he really only needed 2 feet to the left, and he would then adhere to the 22-foot, correct? Build capability.
I believe you're correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And you still have 6.5 feet on the right side to access the property. You're still going to leave yourself with 4.5 feet on the left side to access the property. The way that the property sits, if you look at this, there's a outburst. I don't know if that's a door access or what, but it's 9.22 feet in length, 7.65 feet coming off of the right side, meaning even if you then go down to a 1-car garage, you're going to hit that. Now his truck, the average truck is about 18 to 20 feet in length. You got 36.12, meaning you couldn't do, as to his comment of going a 1-car garage and stacking it one in front of the other, you wouldn't be able to do that. It wouldn't fit because it would actually hit the house. So you're limiting yourself automatically to a 1-car garage into that. I'm in agreement that I think there is a hardship there in either the way that the house is actually positioned into it, setting aside the other issues with the property that we've already approved on, that was not of his doing.
So that's not a hardship to the size, shape, and topography of the property. That's a hardship as to the structure on the property. I mean,
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
you're saying that there's a hardship because they built the house crooked, not parallel to the property lines. But this is requiring
Size, shape, and
hardship
topography.
to the of the parcel, the property, not
Right.
the structure on the property.
You can't have one without the other.
Absolutely.
It would be the size, shape, and topography of the property in parallel with where the structure exists. It runs in tandem.
I go back to the point that the garage was converted into a house, which is now causing a potential hardship, if you want to call it that, by adding another garage. But had the garage not been converted into a kitchen, you wouldn't have a hardship. You'd have a garage right there.
Sure, you can also argue that he wasn't the one that did that. That's
I know,
pre-existing.
But when he bought it, there was no garage.
Correct.
But,
There's no hardship to need a garage. He wants a garage. He bought a house without one. And he can't build the exact one he wants because it goes over the setbacks. That's not a hardship.
Different meanings of hardship.
Is there any further discussion? Want to take a vote on it and see? Hand up.
No, I mean, I will say, I understand what Adam's saying on B of the criteria, but I also agree with what Lauren's saying. I mean, at the end of the day, a 7-foot side setback's kind of, it's minor anyway. We're talking about 2 feet. So he's got all the neighbor support. I think the addition looks great. So that's where I'm struggling. It'd be one thing if he was doing, you know, something that didn't fit in with the theme, if he had objection from neighbors, if it didn't, I mean, he's got the whole neighborhood support. That's where I'm struggling. I mean, he's done all his due diligence. He's talked to everybody in the neighborhood. And I think at the end of the day, the product looks great. So I'm kind of torn as with what Lauren was saying.
I think that's why there's all 4 criteria you have to meet.
I
I
agree
get
with you.
it, I get it, but it's, I mean, again, it's Milton. And I mean, you say, I mean, I don't oppose to him having a garage, you know, I mean, it's, and I have the situation that he's talking about where I can't get my truck in my garage and it sucks. I've got a 2-car garage and I can't get in my garage. So I feel it. It is a hardship. I know it's not a hardship to the public, but it's, yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle at the moment.
I go ahead and,
Vote on yours and.
so we got a motion by Hodge, a second by Adam to deny item A, which has to deal with the garage addition, garage and shop addition. All those in favor of denial, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
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 The motion fails. I'll open the floor for a motion in a second on item A.
I'm not sure. I just would like to make a motion to accept,
To approve.
to approve.
I'm
Sorry.
not trying to put words in your mouth, but. is that-
No.
Okay.
Thank you. But don't even, I haven't even had to read this whole, just A.
Just, yeah, if you just reference A,
Thank you.
you don't need to read the whole thing in, that's fine.
And, second page.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve section 4.6.1B Unified Development Code. A, which he has changed to A, with the conditions per the site plan from JD Grace Land Surveying LLC received February 28th by the Community Development Director. The shed accessory structure, covered patio accessory structure, covered grill and west bar accessory structure shall receive community development approval, building permits. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We've got a motion from Lauren, motion from Lauren and a second from Zach, excuse me, from Nick on B 25-09315 North Court to approve item A, which is the garage with a condition. Let me get to it real quick. That one condition is per the variance site plan from JD Grace Land Surveying LLC received on February 28th, 2025 by the Community Development Department. I'll open it up for discussion. I mean, we had a lot of discussion earlier.
We had
Is
a
there
lot of
anything else that you
discussion.
want to add?
No.
Is good. I'll call for a vote on the 25-09315 North Court to approve the garage variance, which is item A on the agenda. Motion was by Lauren and the second was by Nick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Nay. The motion passes. Please continue to work with the city staff. Item 7 on this evening's agenda is consideration of appeals and secondary variances.
None?
Item 8, old business.
None?
Item 9, new business.
Also none.
Question for you. How many applications do we have for next month's meeting?
We have one case.
One. Okay.
Yes.
Item 10.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Got a motion by Adam to adjourn, a second by Lauren. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.